No knot unties itself.
That's a proverb offered by the mysterious man in Stephen Sondheim's Into the Woods, challenging us to think about that show and all of Sondheim as a puzzle waiting to be solved. And we know Sondheim loved puzzles. The word knot on the surface here is a kind of rope imagery. But what else has knots? Trees do. Woods, the places, are filled with knots, and so is Woods, the show, and Sondheim in general. Shalom, I'm David Benkoff, the Broadway Maven, and passionate engagement with the works of Stephen Sondheim is a project I've come to enjoy immensely. Here are some insights into Sondheim shows, and wait until the end of the video for 10 more insights about Into the Woods. Let's start with an interesting word choice from By the Sea in Sweeney Todd.
In our cozy retreat, kept on neat and tidy, we'll have chums over every Friday.
Now, a wordplay master like Sondheim could have chosen an alliterative alternative to chums, such as friends or even better, folks. But chums is a cannibalistic metaphor. It's fish that are eaten by other fish, and in a show about eating human flesh, it's the perfect word. Note that there's also a cultural association between eating fish and Fridays. In fact, the song also refers to kippers and herring. The song Some People from Gypsy is filled with musical imagery, which makes sense because Rose is trying to get her children started on a showbiz career. Listen.
That's peachy for some people, for some humdrum people, and all that I need is 88 bucks, Papa.
Hum is a musical term, drum is a musical term, and 88 is the number of keys on a piano. Here's a quick literary reference in A Weekend in the Country from A Little Night Music.
Guess what an invitation. Guess who begins with an A? Arm belt, is that a relation to the decrepit Desiree?
In Western literature, the letter A has major echoes of Nathaniel Hawthorne's most prominent work, The Scarlet Letter, in which the letter A is an emblem of adultery, shame, and regret. So Anne's seemingly innocent exclamation turns into a clever literary nod, tying together two tales of love, deceit, and contrition. In West Side Story, listen to Tony's imagery in Something's Coming. What do these images have in common?
Down to the sky, bright as a rose, on a beach under a tree. Catch the moon down the river, the air is humming.
That's right, these images relate to nature, which contrasts with the mechanical name jets, as well as lyrics like our cylinders are clicking. And get this, the word sharks is also from nature, which makes the song a bit of foreshadowing that Tony will end up allied with Maria. Let me show you a new wrinkle in this very funny bit from A Little Priest in Sweeney Todd.
We've got Tinker,
No, something pinker.
Taylor,
Something paler.
Potter,
Something hotter.
Butler,
Something subtler.
Locksmith.
Now, locksmith is a funny word because it has no natural rhymes. And think about it. Doesn't Sweeney want to be a locksmith since his daughter Joanna is under lock and key by the evil Judge Turpin? In fact, Sweeney already is a locksmith of sorts. Goldsmiths work with gold, silversmiths work with silver, and Sweeney, as a barber, works with locks, hair. Gypsy toys with expectations of class, including in the names of the three strippers.
Gypsy, meet Miss Mazeppa and Miss Electra.
All three burlesque performers in You Gotta Have a Gimmick have elegant, refined names. Mazeppa is an English narrative poem. Electra is a character from Greek mythology. And tessitura, is a technical musical term for a comfortable vocal range. Why is the Juliet character in West Side Story called Maria? After all, Julieta is a Spanish name. Well, take a look. There's a term in Western art for a woman cradling a deceased man in her arms, and that's the Pietà, which is an image of Mary cradling the dead Jesus. So it makes sense for the Mary character in this image to be named Maria. In company, here's one of the ways that Joanne mocks the ladies who lunch.
Here's to the girls who stay smart. Aren't they a gas? Rushing to their classes in optical art, wishing it would pass.
Optical art is a term for images that appear three-dimensional from the outside, but are in fact flat. A good metaphor for ladies who overestimate their sophistication. It's been widely noted that A Little Night Music is filled with threes. From the time signature to the love triangles to the three men in songs by Petra and Madame Armfeld. And there's even a triangle in the score.
Of course the summer night smiles. 3 times.
Why would the summer night smile 3 times? Well, it's summer in Sweden, which is at a latitude where the summer night is very brief and sometimes doesn't exist at all. So in night music, the smiles are very brief, which makes sense for a show in which most everyone is rather unhappy. Gypsy's Some People contains the line,
Goodbye to blueberry pie.
Certainly Rose is swearing off conventional domestic life and pursuing her dream of stardom for her children. But what if the line refers to Sondheim's creative career? Blueberry Pie appears in only one other place in the Broadway canon, and that's in South Pacific, when Oscar Hammerstein, Sondheim's mentor, wrote in Wonderful Guy, I'm as normal as blueberry pie. Perhaps Sondheim was signaling that his shows would not be normal versions of the Rodgers and Hammerstein tradition. Some of Sondheim's puns are legendary, but he really outdid himself with this one from A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum.
My name is Philia.
That's a bilingual pun. Sondheim and his collaborators gave the character the Greek name Philia, P-H-I-L-I-A, which means love. But it's also a homophone for the Latin word filia, F-I-L-I-A, which means daughter. The lexical link foreshadows her reunion with her father at the end of the show. Think with me about the role of the character Petra in A Little Night Music.
I shall marry the miller's son.
The foibles of the other characters range from Desiree's hesitation to Frederick's young bride to Henrik's shame to, well, pretty much everyone's adultery. There's one character, though, who's portrayed as solid, put together, and balanced, and her name means rock, Petra. Here are some of the worst lyrics Sondheim ever wrote.
Extra! Extra! Hey, look at the headline. Historical news is being made. Extra! Extra! They're drawing a red line around the biggest scoop of the decade.
The lyrics are stilted, bloated, repetitive, and scanned poorly. For example, the lyric says historical instead of historic, and the lyrics are sung around the greatest scoop of the decade instead of decade. But Sondheim didn't actually write these lyrics, Madame Rose did. And only Sondheim could write bad lyrics this well. Here's another significant symbol in Sweeney Todd that's easy to miss.
Look at your lovely muffler.
Mrs. Lovett wants to muffle his perception of what's going on. And once he's come to realize what exactly is going on in the meat grinder, she needs to muffle his cries to avoid being caught. A nigun is a Jewish term for a song with nonsense lyrics. Sondheim used the same nonsense lyrics for 3 nigunim in 3 shows in a row.
It's not a tune, you go bum 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 did-um.
Bum 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 bum.
Bum bum bum. A nigun has the advantage of allowing the singer to focus on something else, like a shave or a painting, while enjoying music without being distracted by lyrics. Here, Sondheim and his collaborators introduce us to Prologus, who will play Pseudolus.
Also in this house dwells Pseudolus, slave to his son. Pseudolus is probably my favorite character in the piece. A role of enormous variety and nuance.
That's a joke. Pseudolus is a broad comedic role with slapstick humor and not-so-subtle gags. Why does Madame Rose keep a monkey named Gigolo? Here's a hint.
Sing out, Louise, sing out!
Louise's first line is foreshadowing of her life as a sex worker, as is Madame Rose being called, well, Madam. Why is blindness so important in Into the Woods?
What's the good of being good if everyone is blind and you're always left behind?
Lucinda and Florinda, as well as Rapunzel's prince and the giant, become physically blind in the show. The emphasis on seeing fits the show's plot, in which the blind pursuit of their desires leads characters like Jack and the baker's wife into morally compromised situations. Did you notice that all 4 objects the witch demands to help the baker and his wife conceive relate to parenting?
1, the cow as white as milk.
Milk is how a mother nurtures her child.
2, the cape as red as blood.
Blood is the very metaphor we use for biological descent.
3, the hair as yellow as corn.
Corn is food, sustenance.
4, the slipper as pure as gold.
And gold represents the money inherited by the next generation. Is it possible that this line contains a pun?
Think of those crisp, aging bones, then something fresh on the palate.
Here, palate literally means the roof of one's mouth, or more generally, the way something tastes. That's P-A-L-A-T-E. But the term palette, a homophone spelled P-A-L-E-T-T-E, is either the board a painter uses to mix paint, which could be a reference to the previous Sondheim Lapine show, Sunday in the Park with George, or it's the range or variety of tonal or instrumental color in a musical piece. Is Sondheim referring to the fresh style of the musical material in Into the Woods? You decide. Into the Woods ends, and happy ever after, I wish, which is not the traditional formula to finish a fairy tale. That's, and they lived happily ever after, the end. But the end does exist in Into the Woods. They just moved it to the middle.
If the end is right, it justifies the beast.
The baker's wife acknowledges the end of her innocence in this, her first morally compromised moment. Here's one of the most profound and beloved statements in all of Sondheim.
Nice is different than good.
But this diss on niceness shows up elsewhere in the show as well.
You're so nice. You're not good, you're not bad, you're just nice. He's a very nice prince.
If it happens 3 times, it's probably thematic, and Into the Woods is telling us not to trust nice. Listen to the fanfare that's played when Cinderella's prince comes on stage. Now listen to the way Cinderella describes her welcome and the fanfare again.
When I entered, they trumpeted.
Trumpeted. It's the same tune. This one is subtle but satisfying. Pitch plays an important part in the plot of Into the Woods. It's the way Cinderella gets stuck on the steps of the palace, and it's the way they ultimately catch the giantess. But pitch is a musical term. It refers to the notes of a song. And steps, like of the palace, are the difference in pitch between 2 notes. Ironically, though, Cinderella's big song doesn't go very far up and down the piano. It only has an 1.5 octave range, which makes it funny that she sings,
I don't meet a wide range.
She doesn't meet a wide range, and she doesn't have a wide range. Check out this bonding moment between Cinderella and the baker's wife.
Are you to attend the festival tomorrow Eve? Oh, perhaps. Perhaps.
Perhaps is the perfect word in this show about ambivalence. Think about it. Nearly every character has a song in which they wish to be neither here nor there.
My father's house was a nightmare. Your house was a dream. Now I wish for something in between.
And you think of all of the things you've seen, and you wish that you could live in between.
Must it all be either less or more, either plain or grand? Is it always or is it never and?
Isn't it nice to know a lot? And a little bit not.
What's the deal with Cinderella and steps? Of course, she sings in her song,
"While you're standing here stuck on the steps of the palace."
She also has a stepmother and 2 stepsisters. Why are steps so important with Cinderella? Well, she's the character whose symbol is footwear. Among the show's proverbs, these 2 often get a big laugh.
Slotted spoons don't hold much soup. The slotted spoon can catch the potato.
It's funny because she's saying that Jack is addle-headed. But the survivors at the end of the show have all suffered deep losses and are still able to move forward together to catch potatoes, despite the slot in their collective metaphorical spoon. Well, those are the potatoes that my slotted spoon has caught. What observations of Sondheim's work do you have? Put your answers in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Marquee is a free weekly Broadway appreciation newsletter with essays, reviews, piano talks, Broadway blasts, quizzes, and more. Sign up for the complimentary or premium edition and learn about all classes and projects at thebroadwaymaven.com. And here's a Stephen Sondheim playlist.